Worst royal weddings in history. King Edward II of England. In 1308, King Edward II of England married a very young French princess named Isabella. She was just 12 years old, and it probably wasn't the fairy tale wedding she'd imagined. During the celebrations, Edward reportedly ignored his bride and openly kissed someone else. Even more scandalous, that kiss wasn't for Isabella at all, but for another man. Edward had a well-known reputation for same-sex relationships, and he made little effort to conceal his intense attachment to a knight named Piers Gaveston, the very man he favored so publicly, even on his wedding day. The snub humiliated Isabella and shocked the court. But the story didn't end there. Years later, Isabella would have the last word. She turned against her husband, helped overthrow him, and effectively took control of the English throne herself, earning the fearsome reputation of a queen who never forgot a slight. King Harthacnut of Denmark and England. King Harthacnut, ruler of both Denmark and England, made an unforgettable appearance at a wedding in 1042 for all the wrong reasons. While raising a drink during a toast, the king suddenly collapsed. One chronicler described it starkly. As he stood drinking, he fell suddenly to the earth, with a tremendous struggle. Harthacnut was dead before the celebrations could resume. His dramatic end also marked the end of an era. Harthacnut was the last Scandinavian king to rule England. After his sudden death, the crown passed to Edward the Confessor, bringing Viking rule in England to a definitive close. Marie Antoinette. When Marie Antoinette left Austria in 1770 to marry the future King of France, she was only 14 years old. The marriage was political, the couple barely knew each other, and the wedding itself quickly turned into a quiet disaster. The French court had prepared an extravagant white and silver gown encrusted with diamonds for the young bride. But when Marie Antoinette tried it on, it didn't fit. The dressmakers had misjudged her measurements, and the gown was painfully too small. As she walked down the aisle, a visible gap at the back of the dress shocked onlookers and was whispered about as scandalous. And yet, this embarrassment was only the beginning. The troubled marriage would one day help turn Marie Antoinette into one of the most hated women in France, ending not with a crown, but at the guillotine, where she lost her head during the French Revolution. Princess Augusta of Saxe-Gotha. Princess Augusta of Saxe-Gotha had every reason to be nervous on her wedding day. In 1736, the 16-year-old princess had just left Germany to begin a new life in Britain, where she was to marry Prince Frederick, the heir to the British throne. Her groom was nearly 30, and the two had met only once before the ceremony. To make matters worse, Augusta didn't even speak English. By the time the wedding day arrived, her anxiety was overwhelming. In front of the royal court, Augusta became physically ill, vomiting all over her own dress. Even more disastrously, she was sick on her new mother-in-law, Queen Caroline. What was meant to be a grand royal celebration instead became a mortifying introduction to life at the British court. King James VI of Scotland. In 1589, King James VI of Scotland sailed across the North Sea to meet his future bride, Anne of Denmark. The journey itself was ominous, but the return voyage was worse. Violent storms battered the ship, nearly sending the royal couple to the bottom of the sea. James became convinced this was no accident, that dark forces were at work and witches were trying to kill him. When he returned to Scotland, the king's paranoia turned into obsession. A brutal witch hunt began almost immediately. Under torture, a young woman named Gillis Duncan, later the inspiration for a character in Outlander, confessed to witchcraft and accused other women of conspiring to curse the king and his bride. The accusations spread like fire. What began as fear escalated into the infamous North Berwick witch trials, one of Scotland's most notorious persecutions. James didn't merely observe, he took part personally, interrogating and torturing the accused to extract confessions. King George IV. In 1795, George, Prince of Wales, later King George IV, married his cousin, Princess Caroline of Brunswick. It was never a love match, but then again, few royal marriages of the era were. George was drowning in debt, £630,000 in total, and Parliament made it clear that financial rescue would only come if he married suitably. When George first laid eyes on his bride, he reportedly blurted out, "I am not well. Get me a glass of brandy." From that moment on, the marriage was doomed. Things only got worse on the wedding day. George was so intoxicated he could barely stand, forcing two dukes to physically hold him upright at the altar. He wept openly throughout the ceremony, turning what should have been a grand royal occasion into an uncomfortable public spectacle, and setting the tone for a marriage that would quickly collapse into misery and scandal. King Philip IV of Spain. King Philip IV of Spain should have known better than to marry his own niece. By the mid-17th century, the Spanish Habsburg dynasty was already dangerously inbred, its family tree collapsing inward on itself. Generations of close-kin marriages had produced alarming rates of infant mortality and a growing catalogue of hereditary deformities. Still, in 1644, the troubling union went ahead. The marriage produced King Charles II, one of the most tragic monarchs in European history. Plagued by severe physical and mental disabilities, Charles struggled to speak clearly, walk properly, or rule effectively. Modern genetic analysis has confirmed just how extreme the dynasty's inbreeding had become. Charles's genetic makeup was so concentrated that he was nearly as inbred as a child born of a brother and sister. With him, the Spanish Habsburg line finally collapsed, undone by generations of royal marriages that ignored biology in favor of bloodlines. King Henry of Navarre. On August 18, 1572, a French princess married the King of Navarre, but the royal wedding quickly turned into a disaster with deadly consequences. The ceremony took place in the midst of the French Wars of Religion, a time when tensions between Catholics and Protestants were at their peak. Margaret of France, daughter of Queen Catherine de' Medici and sister to the French king, was a devout Catholic. Her groom, King Henry of Navarre, was a Protestant Huguenot. The marriage instantly divided Paris along religious lines. Many Catholics saw the influx of wealthy Huguenot guests as an opportunity to strike. What should have been a union of dynasties instead set the stage for one of France's bloodiest events, the St. Bartholomew's Day massacre, where thousands of Huguenots were slaughtered in a shocking wave of violence across the city.